Guitar in Sheffield, and you're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for all things Celtic backing guitar. In today's video, I just want to tell you a quick little tip for playing tunes in E minor. This is a really useful chord shape. It's called the power chord. You'll see a diagram popping up on my blank wall just there through the miracle of modern technology. Basically, this was kind of popular through, particularly in the 80s, for metal players because it's a chord that sounds really good when it's distorted, and it was an easy shape to kind of move around at speed, so it got used for lots of chuggy things like all those kind of things, you know. The power chord is a really useful shape because it only contains roots and fifths, but it doesn't contain any third notes. The third is the note within a chord that defines it as being either minor or major. The root note is the most important note, that's the sort of foundation of your chord, and the fifth just kind of backs up the root note and fills out the space. But because these chords don't have a third in, that means you can use them in place of either a minor or a major chord. So if we're in the key of E minor, we're going to start out with an E power chord. And for folky purposes, this sounds really nice because it's just the root and the fifth. That's a very kind of traditional sound that when you hear it, you'll recognise it. It's very strident and clear. It's maybe not got much emotional depth to it. You know, if I play like an E major 9, that chord is saying a lot more than this one is. However, you don't really want emotional depth for backing Irish music all the time. Sometimes you just want to slam out some nice loud chords in a pub session or something like that. And for that kind of situation, these power chords are really great. Anyway, let's look at this shape. So we've got an E power chord to start with. That is index finger on the 7th fret, third or ring finger on the 9th fret of the D string, index is on the A string, little finger on the G string on the 9th fret, and that gives you this kind of L-shaped configuration. The notes in that chord, you've got E at the bottom, the E string, there you've got an octaved up E, so that's E again. Next you've got the 5th, which is B, then you've got another octave of E, and then you've got the B string, which is the 5th again, and the E string at the top, which is E again, obviously, that's your root note. So all you've got there is roots and fifths stacked up, and that gives you this really nice, bright, ringing, very traditional sounding kind of chord. If you're in the key of E minor, the two top strings being B and E, you can leave them in all your chords because you're in the key of E, and that's the root and the fifth for E. So if you're playing in E minor, those two will always sound nice. Power chords then for the other chords available in E minor. So we're going to work backwards through the alphabet. And for people that know a bit more about music theory, this will work with both E dorian and E aeolian with some slight modifications. So we've got E minor. If you move that shape down 2 frets, miss off the bottom E string and just play all the rest of them. Little tip here, if you have your index finger on that D note there and you push it up very slightly, it's now touching the bottom E string from an angle which won't fret the note but will just mute that string. So that means you can really whack that chord without worrying about not hitting the bottom string. So that's a D chord with some extra notes in it, but they're B and E, so they're going to sound nice in the key of E minor. If you move that down another 2 frets, you've got a C chord. Now that C chord is going to sound good in E aeolian. If it's E dorian, technically speaking, it should be C sharp diminished. However, for reasons that I'm not going to cover in this video, you can get away with playing C in E dorian as well. you'll just need to make sure that there's no C sharp in the tune at any time where you're playing this C chord. If you play along with a tune and you play this chord and it doesn't make you go, ooh, then you're doing it right. So you're not going to have to sit there with your sheet music and go, oh look, there's a C sharp in bar 4, I won't play a C there. You know, you don't need to do that, just trust your ears. If you play your C chord and then there's a note in the melody that sounds a bit weird with it, then don't play your C chord there again. It's that simple. Trust what your ears tell you, because they are usually right. So that's your third chord, C. That's with your index finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. Another chord that you'll need is B, which is down here. That's like your B minor chord. So that's index on the 2nd fret. Again, top 2 strings can ring out in it and it sounds really nice. Another chord you'll need is A, which is either down here so that your index finger is effectively doing the open A string, and your other 2 are there on the 2nd fret. Or you can do that A shape with your index on the 5th of the E string, like that. So you take the exact same shape and you just shift it down a string. Again, leave all the ringing top 3 strings in, absolutely fine. Next chord you're going to need G. You've got a G down here on the 3rd fret of the bottom string. And then you've got a kind of optional F sharp, which you could use. That one's a bit weird because the F sharp and the open G kind of clash. I personally would probably not really use that one. And then you're back down to E minor, way down here. So just to recap, we've made a kind of chord scale of E minor just by using this power chord shape and moving it around. What this is really, really useful for then, if you're backing a tune in E minor, you can just slide around to your heart's content. You've got your chord 5 there, so you want to go 5-1 at the ends of sections. I've talked about this in my other videos and loads in my ebook. Check them out if you want to know why you go 5-1 at the ends of sections. So you've got that really easy change to go at the end of the A part or the B part. You've also got the option of going D back to E minor at the ends of sections, which you can now do like this. Also easy and sounds good. And then to come up with your other chord options, you can just slide this shape around different places. So if I whistle the tune Morrison's Jig, I'll just show you a few things I might do with that. Etc, etc. So yeah, that's a really useful set of chords to use in the key of E minor. So yeah, that's just a kind of first steps into the world of using power chords. There are loads of other places you can use them as well in conjunction with some other shapes, and I'll probably run through some of those in later videos. You can find a much more complete guide to all of these useful shapes that you can play at speed in my ebook, Backing Guitar Techniques for Traditional Celtic Music. It's got chord diagrams for all of these kinds of shapes. It's also got a lot of selections of how I like to use them in different keys and different modes, different cool things you can do with them. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. Go and buy it. You'll find a link at the end of this video. And also, if you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, you'll get loads of great free guitar-y tips and tricks and music theory, useful, handy stuff like that, all to help you on your voyage towards becoming a great Celtic backing guitarist. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Nye. If you'd like to book a lesson in the studio or via Skype, drop me a message or leave me a comment, and I will see you all very, very soon for more Celtic guitar-y videos.